We now join your regularly scheduled program in progress.
And that is ultimately what I think we can expect from Roger Federer in 2019. Now, let's get back to 20 slams of Christmas.
Look at that shot. He's making it look awful easy right now.
Fought the line. On set point, Federer feathers one right on the sideline.
There it is.
I wanted to read some comments on today's slam from the last video, slam number 1, 2003 Wimbledon. We are in a super time crunch. There's a special event tonight. Maybe I'll have some footage from tonight's special event for tomorrow's video. 2003, Roger Federer's major breakthrough at Wimbledon, the All England club. After that, things did not go so smoothly for Roger Federer in 2003. He finished strong, but listen to this. After winning Wimbledon, Roger suffers losses to Andy Roddick in Canada, David Nalbandian in Cincinnati, then again at the U.S. Open after I believe Roger won the first set, then lost 3 in a row to David Nalbandian. Leighton Hewitt beats him in Davis Cup after Roger's up 2-0 in a 5-set epic match. Juan Carlos Ferrero in Madrid, which back then Madrid is an indoor fast court rather than a clay court like it is today. Then at the Swiss indoors, Basel, Roger Federer's home tournament, he loses to his coach. How does that happen? One quick thing before we go any further. If you didn't see video 1, click up there to watch video 1 about Roger's breakthrough at Wimbledon in 2003. And I just wanted to say, because I didn't talk about it much in the last video, how crazy is it that they were saying, oh, that big forehand that Roger just hit, that's almost like a Roddick forehand. Like Roddick invented the big forehand. There was a period in time where the Roddick forehand was considered better than Roger. But although you might have heard in that clip, McEnroe eventually says, I think the American fans back home are starting to see how big of a forehand Federer has too. But anyways, I thought that was pretty crazy to hear. A Roddick-like forehand from Federer. Ooh. Unbelievable. After losing to Ivan Ljubicic, coach today, not then obviously, in Basel, old man Tim Henman beats Roger at the Paris indoors. But take a look at this. In Houston, this is where the World Tour Finals were back then, not in London. And in 2003, they called it the Tennis Masters Cup, but it was the World Tour Finals. Federer does some real work. Starts with a 3-set tough win over Agassi to begin the round-robin stage. A Nalbandian beatdown revenge match is his second match. The third round-robin match is 3-1. That's a breadstick for pesky mosquito Juan Carlos Ferrero, who he just lost to. So a couple revenge matches right away. Then we go to Andy Roddick. Remember, this is Andy Roddick, not the one that we just saw losing pretty easily in the semifinals at Wimbledon in 2003. This is Roddick, who's now number 1 in the world. Take a look at the rankings. This is just before the Australian Open in early January. And he is defending U.S. Open champion. I know Roger's defending Wimbledon champion, but U.S. Open's more recent. Straight sets win over the new number 1 Roddick. That must not feel too good. And then a real statement win over Andre Agassi in the final. Take a look at some of the highlights. Roger even lays a bagel on him in this. Back then it was best out of 5 in the final only.
Yes, jabbing himself together so well, Federer. It's a very tricky shot, but he has the skills to do it. And Federer has broken. And great that he should finish with an ace. 6-3, 6-4. Roger Federer is the Tennis Masters Cup champion 2003.
So this run must have been invaluable for boosting Roger's confidence after having those losses we just talked about. going into the end of 2003. This is how he finishes it. Must have helped Roger a lot, must have given him confidence going into the Australian Open, and also nice to know that that guy Nalbandian who took you out the U.S. Open, beat you in Cincinnati, you get a pretty big, easy win over him. But there were still question marks about Roger Federer. We know he's a major champion now at this point, but nobody could say anything like he would become what he has with the 2020 majors. Roger goes to Australia 2004 with a chance to be number one, with some tough competition out there. Doesn't look so weak of an era when we look at some of these draws. So let's take a look at what happened at the 2004 Australian Open. In Roger's section of the draw, he had to go up against Leighton Hewitt in that fourth round. Now, Hewitt's had a dip in his ranking, but he's still a top player. But look what we almost had in this draw. Roger and Rafa. Now, Hewitt won in straight sets, but 2 tie breaks. And I am almost the same age as Nadal. I think in 2004, that's my senior year of high school. In January, I'm still 17. I'm a couple months older than Rafa, so he's also 17. And this is what he's doing to Leighton Hewitt. Check out how big his forehand was back then and how it blew away some of the commentators. 17 years old.
His return 154. That is significantly faster than the serve, which was 138. And again, Rafael stings Hewitt with the forehand down the line. And Leighton left standing again. Magnificent shot.
He's got a great forehand.
So a set point for Hewitt again.
It's unbelievable how hard he hits that forehand.
Now, Agassi, he's the defending champion in 04 at the Australian Open, having won in 03, and he is breezing through the draw. Murat Safin, on the other hand, has one of the toughest runs to a major final we've ever seen. Safin has been coming off a wrist injury in the previous year. If you take a look at his slam activity from Wikipedia, Safin hadn't played since the Australian Open in 2003, so it's been a whole year since Safin's played in a major. And just look at what he has to do. He plays early Brian Vahali in 4 sets, Jarkko Nieminen in 4 sets, 5 sets with Todd Martin, who just come through a battle with Ivo Karlovic. To get to the final, Safin has to go through Andy Roddick in 5 sets. This was huge at the time that Roger, although, looking back, maybe Roger would have loved to play Roddick. But at the time, people would have seen this as a big deal, a big benefit that Roger could avoid playing Andy Roddick. But Roger does have to get through quarterfinals David Nalbandian. There could be question marks after what happened at U.S. Open. Roger takes care of this. Then he swats away the pesky mosquito, Juan Carlos Ferrero, fairly easily, breezes into the finals feeling pretty fresh after that semi, I would imagine. Safin gets Andre Agassi, who again has had a very easy time, hasn't had to play nearly as much as Safin, who goes 5 sets with Roddick. Five sets with Todd Martin, 4 sets with anyone else he didn't go 5 sets with. Now Safin has another 5-set match against Andre Agassi.
Saw the pedestrian record last year, made it to one final, but retired in that final. Brian Vahali, Todd Martin, James Blake, and Roddick to get here, but again, not been able to win one of those matches in straight sets. Patrick mentioned more than 15 hours on court.
14 off.
That's the most efficient way to win a point.
First point that Agassi's lost when he's gotten that first serve, and he has to hit his spots with that serve. If not, he's going to pay the...
Agassi. Oh, what a turn there from Agassi. Wow. Agassi now jumping on this side. He's looked to step up, Agassi, more in the return to make something happen.
Some big pressure serving gets him to game point now from love 30.
Don't underestimate Safin's smarts either. He hit a slice serve out wide, took a lot off it, and set up the easy backhand.
Keep going for his shots like that.
Oh, that's
brilliant.
Unbelievable.
That's finesse on the run.
Wow.
Agassi caught clearly by surprise.
In the final, Roger wins in straight sets. We will see that Safin has a lot more for Roger at the Australian Open in some time. But for now, Roger handles him easily. I think this tournament is important, my big takeaway, because there may have been question marks about all these other top guys that Roger could struggle with. Will he really dominate? This kind of shows that he could dominate. The way he took care of Nalbandian and Ferrero, the way he beat Safin, even though Safin was tired. Roger had lost to Safin the last time he played him in 2002, I think, before this match. So we'll take a look at the highlights.
More than first.
So Federer forces the break.
All the tennis that he's played over the last 2 weeks.
Third season.
The wild shot, it was very make-up further than he is.
So there you go. That is Slam number 2. Again, I think this one's important because it starts to put people on notice that some of these top players that you would think maybe could stop Roger from taking over the sport of tennis, not that effective against Roger when he's peaking at the biggest tournaments, like he shows in Houston at the Tennis Masters Cup right before it, like he shows at pretty much every major he plays after this one. Now, the hiccup at the U.S. Open, we won't see anything like that, but we will see something coming up at the French Open that could be a problem for many years to come. All right, we got 18 more videos of this, and again, Monday we will do a regular show, so make sure you tune in for all 20 slams of Christmas. See ya!